Hi everyone, good afternoon. It is Sarah Shipton here from Scrapbooking with Sarah, and I'm coming live to you today on Tuesday the 27th of January for this week's Technique Tuesday. This is actually a makeup for last week, so I am 1 week behind with our weekly scrapbooking challenges for January. As many of you know, I was away over the holidays and for the first couple of weeks of January. So we are running a little bit behind with our weekly scrapbooking challenges, but stay tuned because I'll be posting what should have been done for yesterday some stage this week, and I will give you some extra time to create those and get your entries in for the January prize draw, which I will be doing next week. Sonia's joined us. Hi Sonia, thanks so much for watching today. I hope you are all keeping cool. We are in Adelaide, South Australia, and currently in the middle of a heat wave. So it is perfect weather for me to be indoors, getting some scrapbooking done and doing some work in my home office. And I'm super excited to share this week's challenge with you. We are creating a double page spread. So we're turning this single page layout into a double page spread. We are working with pattern 3J, called the Sidebar Understated. It's on page 49 of the Reflections Scrapbook Program how-to pattern book. This is an old book that I've pulled off my shelf, and we are going back to basics with some 12 by 12 inch scrapbooking layouts. So let's walk you through firstly the paper dimensions and instructions for creating your layout, and then I'm going to touch on the product that I have used in this layout today and also demonstrate the technique where we are going to be using the Lovely Stripes Embossing Folder, which is part of the Lovely Blossoms Sweet Collection, which coordinates with the Currently Loving Scrapbooking Workshop Kit, which I'm also going to be showing you those three layouts in today's live video as well, okay? So for your layout this week, you are going to need 2 base sheets of designer series paper or cardstock. These are going to be your base pages for your 12 by 12 inch scrapbooking. And then we are going to need another 2 pieces of either designer series paper or cardstock that coordinate. And this is going to sit at the top half of your scrapbook layout over the top of your base page. And you're going to cut that at 7.5 by 11 inches. You're then going to need another sheet of either designer series paper or coordinating cardstock. You'll be able to get these 2 pieces here at the bottom. You'll be able to get them out of the one sheet. You might have some leftovers from a scrapbooking workshop kit as well. So 2 strips that are going to run along the bottom here, and you're going to cut them at 3.5 by 11 inches. You'll need 2 pieces of those, 3.5 by 11 inches, and they're going to run along the bottom underneath this top bit that you have cut. And then we're going to need 2 sheets of, I've opted for cardstock, not 2 sheets of cardstock, but you'll be able to get these 2 pieces cut out of the one sheet of either cardstock or designer series paper. I've opted for cardstock because these are my photo mats, okay? And I've actually stuck this long piece over the top of this cloud cover striped pattern piece of paper. So this strip of cardstock through here. Now I have cut mine a little bit differently than what the instructions say in the book, because I wanted to be able to have my photos, standard size scrapbooking photos. These photos are 3 by 4 inches and these here are 3 by 3. Okay, so that meant that I needed to cut my mat at 3.25 in width. Okay, and then the length is 10.5. So I didn't actually, no, it's not. It's 10.75. I will pop this in the comments. This piece of cardstock here, I've cut that at 10.75 in length and 3.25 inches in width, okay? And then that's going to fit perfectly with a 1/4 inch border around the outside. The reason I've done that is so I've got an even photo mat space here. It would have meant that if I had cut the dimensions that the instructions said, I would have needed to make my photos smaller in order to get that border, and I didn't want to do that. My photos are standard scrapbooking size photos, 3 by 4 inches landscape and 3 by 3 inches, which is a square. Okay, so I will pop that in the comments below. And then the last piece you are going to need is this strip that's going down. This is the sidebar, and understated because it's not as thick as some of the other sidebar borders that we have been creating with lately. This strip of cloud cover cardstock is 12 inches. It's going to run from the top to the bottom of your base page, and I've cut this at 1 3/4 in width. Okay, and this is the piece that we have embossed today, so I'm going to be demonstrating that to you. Now you'll note that I've also got photo mats underneath these photos here, so you will see that the pattern, the master pattern, is designed for a 5 by 7 inch photo, and I've actually used 2 4 by 6 inch portrait photos. Okay, now there was no cutting instructions for this mat around the outside, which means I've actually made my own cutting instructions. So I've got 2 4 by 6 inch photos here, which are mounted right next to each other on my cardstock mat. So the dimensions for the mat, if you are going to use the same size portrait photos that I have done here for your layout, my mat is 8 1/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches. Okay, and then I've just cut that one piece of cardstock and then stuck the 2 photos on top of that, and I've actually done that twice. So it will mean that you're going to need 2 sheets of cardstock in order to cut those mats at 8 1/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches. Now, one technique that I've done, I actually demonstrated this in a video for one of the Technique Tuesdays before Christmas. I've actually edge distressed my cardstock around the outside here, which is a really fun technique to do, and it looks great in the instance here where you've got outdoor photos if you're going for that kind of like rustic textured vibe, which we have got here. These photos were taken during a camping trip in 2020 to the Riverland in South Australia during COVID, and this layout perfectly suited my photos here. So the really cool thing with edge distressing that cardstock is it gives that textured look, and also because our cardstock is two-tone, you're going to see the white core of your cardstock as well. Now, I have an old edge distressing tool that I use to do that. So you're basically just running this edge distressor along the edges of your cardstock. I did demonstrate that in a video which I've posted to my YouTube, edge distressing your cardstock. And I've done that face up with my cardstock, so then the distressing sort of curls the paper inwards a little bit. Sometimes I will pull the edge distressing tool towards me, and then other times I will pull it away from me. So it gives a little bit of a different texture depending on which way you are dragging your distressing tool. Now, if you don't have one of these edge distressing tools, you could use sandpaper, or you can use your micro tip scissors. You can actually use the inside of your micro tip scissors, and you're just going to scratch the inside of your micro tip scissors, distress along the edges of your cardstock. That actually does the same trick with your micro tip scissors or your paper snip scissors. Okay, now I've had a couple of questions about the paper snip scissors. These were actually taken down from our online store. So the vendor that was manufacturing these for Stampin' Up! Is no longer doing so. So Stampin' Up! Is in the process of finding a new vendor for micro tip scissors or paper snip scissors, whatever they're going to be called in the future. And unfortunately, I don't have any left over from my stock. I did sell all of the remaining packs of scissors that I had in stock. So if you are coming to one of my workshops, you are welcome to use my edge distressing tool. But most of you, I'm pretty sure that all of you actually would have a set of either the micro tip or the paper snip scissors from a previous purchase. So I have done that edge distressing technique around all of my cardstock for both the 4x6 inch photos and then these photos. The thing I love about this strip down the bottom here is that you can cut your photos either square or landscape, depending, 3x4, depending on what you're wanting to get out of your photos. So all of these photos started as 4x6 inch, and typically what I will do is cut a 4x6 inch photo in half, and then you're getting 2 3x4 inch photos. That's if it is portrait, of course. And then other times I will create my photos in an app called Pic Collage that allows me to create my own photo collage in the app before I print my photos. So you will take a 4x6 inch template and you can drag and drop 2 photos into it, 3x4 in either portrait or landscape mode. So when I print my photo, when I upload that photo to be printed, I've actually got 2 3x4 inch photos on one 4x6 inch photo. And then when I pick my photos up, all I have to do is cut through the middle of that photo. I don't have any here to show you, but it is something that you'll see me talk about a lot more, especially in February, as I've used Pic Collage to print and cut all of my photos in those smaller size. So that is a good tip for you. If you haven't pre-done that and you've just got your photos in 4x6 inch, then you will need to cut them down to fit them on this smaller strip at the bottom here. So let's talk about the products I have used on my layout for this week. So for January, I have been featuring products from the January 2026 online exclusive product range. So you will not find these products in your mini catalogue. They are online exclusives only. So you can head to my website and then shop now. And under the menu tab, you'll see a little button which is called online exclusives. It's in a circle shape. You click on that and the most recent online exclusive products will be listed at the top, working your way through all of those pages. Now, if you are on my mailing list or attending my workshops in person, I have actually emailed you the link to this PDF for you to be able to save in your web browser, and you can download that. You can print it yourself if you wish to in color, or you can just save it in one of your bookmarks as your favorites, and that way you can access this. So we have online exclusives come out every second month. We've started the year with January. So if the month is a odd number, so 1, 3, 5, 7, and so forth through to the end of the year, on the odd months, we have the online exclusives. And then in the even months, 2, 4, 6, 8, we have last chance products added to the specials section of our online store. So that's a good way to remember the online exclusives. And the products that I have worked with this month are from this product suite called the Lovely Blossoms Suite Collection. So you can invest in the suite in its entirety, or you can purchase the products individually. I tend to purchase my products individually unless it's a suite that I really, really love and I know that it's going to have a stamp set and a die set that I'm going to use again and again and again. So in this instance, I actually purchased a separate packet of the Lovely Blossoms 12-inch Designer Series paper, and that's what I've used on my layout today. I've also incorporated the Lovely Stripes 3D Embossing Folder, which I'm going to be demonstrating to you today. And I also purchased a packet of the Moody Palette Glossy Dots because I love to add bling to my scrapbooking layouts. In most instances as well, I'm just going to turn to the back of this PDF. You can see we've got the designer series paper here. You can also get the designer series paper with a sticker sheet, but if you are someone that typically creates with the Scrapbooking Workshop Kit, the sticker sheet comes in the Scrapbooking Workshop Kit, which means that if you were to purchase this pack as well, you're going to double up on the sticker sheets. So these are the stickers that I've got left over after creating my Scrapbooking Workshop Kit layouts. I'm going to share them with you today. And then I've done 3 challenges already for January. So you can see here, I've still got a few stickers to use, which I'm going to use up on this week's challenge. We also have the coordinating Scrapbooking Workshop Kit, which is called Currently Loving. The name is different to the suite because the Scrapbooking Workshop Kit does not form part of the suite. The product range just coordinates in terms of colour and design. I also purchased a packet of the Covered in Flowers accents, which I've used to embellish on my layouts today. Now, 9 times out of 10, I have been able to use leftover paper and stickers from my Scrapbooking Workshop Kit to create with these weekly challenges. And then I just purchase usually a packet of the papers separate, and I bulk those papers up with my leftovers from my Scrapbooking Workshop Kit. So for my base pages, I've got 2 sheets of this Secret Sea diamond pattern. That's from the Designer Series paper pack. I've used 2 sheets of this cloud cover. Hi everyone, I am back. Apologies for that. My internet dropped out and we lost broadcasting, so I'm back with a take 2. I will edit these videos and pop them together so we don't have that break. Okay, so coming back to the papers now, I ran through the Designer Series paper and the cardstock. Cloud cover on the outside here for the strips, and then we've got some leftover stickers from my Currently Loving Scrapbooking Workshop Kit. I have also used individual from the Covered in Flowers accents. I bought a packet of the Covered in Flowers accents to embellish, and also a packet of the Moody Palette Glossy Dots. So let's get into demonstrating this embossing folder. Now, I want to start by sharing with you, this was a really good tip and a reminder for us to be checking the width of our embossing folders before running them through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So let's bring this into focus. This is my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now, when you invest in your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, it actually comes with a series of plates. They're numbered 1 through to 4. And the really important part of embossing is to double check the embossing folder that you are using, because that is going to determine the sequence of the plates that you use. And I actually made a very big boo-boo, and I ran this cloud cover cardstock. I ran it through the order for a 3D embossing folder, and it is not a 3D embossing folder. It is a standard embossing folder. You can tell because it's in the title of the name. So Lovely Stripes Embossing Folder. If that was a 3D embossing folder, it would say Lovely Stripes 3D Embossing Folder. Now, when I ran my cardstock through the embossing folder, it actually came apart. And I thought, what is going on here? Why is this tearing like this? And then I was like, oh, okay, I've used cloud cover. It's two-tone cardstock, right? Which means it's not as thick as what the original Stampin' Up! Cardstock was, okay? We've switched to two-tone cardstock in 12 by 12, and you can buy your colours individually. Now, the cloud cover's a very light colour. All of the two-tone cardstock is white, and then it's dyed either side, right? So I'm thinking, okay, it's just because I've used a light colour cardstock and I've run it through the 3D embossing folder, and it's just a really thick folder, and, you know, my cardstock strip was breaking. So I actually had to stick this down in individual pieces, and then I've actually popped my embellishment cluster over where the cardstock was breaking. You can see here, And then on this layout as well, I've stuck it over the top. And then I was like, you know what, I can't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered yesterday running 2 more strips of cardstock through, which is what I should have done. But do you know what I realised afterwards, girls? I ran my Lovely Stripes embossing folder through the 3D embossing folder instructions and not the standard embossing folder instructions, which meant that it applied a lot more pressure than I needed it to my embossing folder, and that's why it's embossed it so strong, and it has actually like literally torn through the paper. So lesson learned. And look, girls, even after 23 years of teaching scrapbooking, I still make boo-boos and mistakes. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to share that with you today, because I'm human and I'm not perfect. And just because I teach, show and share this like weekly, this is my job, right? You would think that I would get it right. Well, you know, no, I stuffed up. Okay, so today I'm going to demonstrate it to you, making sure that I have got the correct order of my embossing folders. So it is a standard embossing folder. So we need to use our 3 plates, number 1 as the base. We are going to put our cardstock. I've got Petal Pink here, and I'm putting my cardstock in my embossing folder. Now, with the embossing folders, depending on what side of the emboss you want to show, so I'll give you an example here. This one has got the raised dots actually coming up, and then I didn't realize I ran my other sheet of paper through the wrong way, and so the raised portion is the stripes. Okay, so just keep that in mind when it came time to sticking it down. You can see here I've got cloud cover, and then I've got the 2 tones, so this side is lighter. And again, I was like, you know what, I can't be bothered running 2 more strips of paper through. I'm just going to go with it, and it doesn't matter. And you know what, you probably would never have noticed had I not pointed it out to you, but I specifically wanted to share that with you today, so you know that I too make mistakes. Alrighty, so I've got my Petal Pink cardstock here. Now, depending on what you want your pattern to be, will determine which side of your 2-tone cardstock you want to have facing upwards. Okay, so I'm just going to run this through with the Stampin' Up logo at the top, which means I'm going to have my my stripes are going to be the piece that is going to come through. So I've got base number 1, and then I need my 2 number 3 plates. I'm putting my embossing folder in between my 2 number 3 plates, and then my number 3 plates are going on top of my number 1 plate. And we are going to run this through the embossing machine. Just get that started. Oh my gosh, that's, oh, okay. I'm just going to bring this back a little bit here. That is, so if that happens, you can actually stagger your plates. All right, so we're going to stagger that a little bit there like so. And actually I need new plates. These are curving because they've had a very big workout. Oh, these aren't going to go through at all by the looks of it. Let's just bring that back a little bit. Yeah, we've got that all right. Yes, my plates are actually curving because they've had a very big workout with my die cutting. So I'm just going to try that one more time and see if it's going to go through. No, it's not going to go through. So do you know what? I'm actually, just for demonstrating this, I'm going to pop this through my number 4 plate and hope for the best. Now, I didn't bring my number 4 plate in with me, so I'm just going to go and grab that. I'll be back. Sit tight. Oh, no, here it is. I did bring my number 4 plate in with me. Okay, take 2. Right. Actually, take 3. We've already had a broadcast interruption. This is the joy of doing it live. But you know what? I kind of feel like if I was demonstrating this to you at a workshop in person, this would be happening. So this is why I just go live. It's completely not scripted. It's off the cuff. Okay, so we've run that through with the number 4 plate, and we might find... Oh, see, look, that's not actually... it's not actually torn that at all. I wonder if it's because it was a thinner strip of paper, or you can see it's starting to get a little bit creased through there. So coming back to my explanation of your embossing folder. So I've embossed that the Stampin' Upside Up, which means my dots have come through at the top. If you wanted to have your stripes coming through at the top, you would want to turn your embossing folder over, okay? Because obviously it's two-tone cardstock. If you're not using two-tone cardstock, then it's not going to matter. But you've obviously got one side of the pattern coming through and then the other side of the pattern as well, okay, with your embossing folders. So that's how I have done my border strip. Oh, that's around the wrong way. This is how I've done my border strip for this week's layout down the outside here. Let's run through the weekly or the scrapbooking workshop kit so you can see these beautiful layouts. So with your scrapbooking workshop kit, you are going to create 3 double page layouts using all of the products that come in your kit and then with this instructional guide. So when I make my layouts with the scrapbooking workshop kit, I will go through and cut all of my papers the way that the guide says to cut. But when it comes to the prep and the assembly of the layout, this is where I might go, I might want to get some extra photos on the layout, and it might mean that I need to move some of the embellishment clusters around or change the orientation or the dimensions of my photo mats, my cardstock bases, okay? So this particular layout's called Day in the Life. I love the colours in this layout. We've got the gorgeous old olive, we've got the petal pinks, and this was just perfect for these photos taken on the beach at a close to my heart incentive trip in Mexico. This was in 2024. Almost 2 years ago, can you believe? And we had this lovely dinner on the beach in the sand. There was beautiful photo opportunities. You can see here that I've put a flip flap over the top of my layout. So just here where we've got the photo, this was meant to be a 3x3 square, but I wanted this to be portrait. So I've actually cut another photo mat at 3x4 to get that photo on there. This one here I could not cut down to 3x4 because it was going to miss either mine or my friend Shelley's head or cut half of Doreen's face off, and I didn't want to do either of that. So this photo, I've actually cut that at 4x4, which meant I had to cut another mat at 4¼ by 4¼ So it's not until I come to cut my photos for the layout and assemble that I will make the decision to move things around. That's layout number 1. Layout number 2 is called Family. These photos were taken at our daughter's engagement party. And again, as you can see here with your instructional guide, there was only meant to be 2 photos here and this embellishment cluster up here. But I wanted to get an extra photo on to make sure I had everyone in the photos that I wanted. And so I've actually printed an extra 3x4 inch photo, pop that at the top. I've had to move these down the bottom a little bit, and I've just moved this embellishment cluster slightly off to the left. On the right hand side of the layout, there's some 3x4 inch photos here, but I wanted to get one of the photos of the happy couple 4x6 inch. There was room to put that there, but it meant that this embellishment cluster had to be moved up slightly. And then this embellishment cluster here, I instead put at the bottom of my family title on the left-hand side page, okay? So I cut all my papers the way that they're designed to be cut, but when I come to prep and assemble, that's when I start to think about moving things around if I want to get extra photos onto the layout. Layout number 3 is called Beautiful You. These photos were taken at my husband and I's 21st wedding anniversary. We celebrated with some champagne and oysters down at the Oyster Bar at Glenelg. We actually went out for dinner that night to celebrate a family friend's 18th birthday. So this was just a little pre-drink, a pre-dinner drink to celebrate our wedding anniversary before we went to the 18th birthday dinner. Now, the really fun thing about this particular layout is that you've got this overlay here, this circle overlay. So you're going to punch all your circles out, and then underneath you're going to put some 3x3 inch photos. So you're going to put a little bit of adhesive just in the corner of your photos, and then I put the overlay over the top of the photo so that I can get the photo centered underneath my overlay. Now I've put, as you can see here, an extra photo here, and even some of my customers at Scrapbooking on Saturday were thinking they might put some extra photos in here and here. So you can do whatever you want with that. On my left hand side, this was meant to just have a 4x6 inch landscape photo, which I did not have, I didn't take. And so here instead I've stuck two 3x4 inch photos on my 4x6, and I had this extra photo, so I've just tucked that in and underneath here, and you can see I've got this photo popped up on some Stampin' Dimensionals. With the sticker, this little die cut here said "You did it," which was perfect for the marketing photos of someone's graduation day. And I guess it would be fitting for a 21st wedding anniversary, like, you did it, 21 years, you know, that's amazing. But I didn't think it was fitting, so I've actually just put the little floral embellishment cluster. I've actually, instead of having that here, I've just stuck it over the top there so you don't actually see that on my layout. So I wanted to share that with you because the Scrapbooking Workshop kits are a fantastic way to get your step-by-step crafting done. You create 3 layouts with every kit. So if you were to do this monthly, you would have a complete album at the end of the year. And so I love step-by-step crafting because it's quick and it's easy. I can just follow a guide. But sometimes if you want to get those extra photos on, that's where you can change up the dimensions, add some flip-flaps in, or you can change the orientation as well. So don't look at a Scrapbooking Workshop kit and think, oh my gosh, that's not going to suit my photos. What I actually do with my Scrapbooking Workshop kit is, before I sit down to cut and prep and assemble, step 1 is actually to gather your photos, girls. Okay, this is the very first step. Gather photos. Most people go straight to the cutting and then assemble and add photos after, which you can do. But the whole point of these Scrapbooking Workshop kits is to get your photos and your stories down with your papers. So I will actually sit with my device and I will work out which photos I want to print for the layout based on either the theme, the style, or the colors that are going to best suit my photos. You can see here we've got the navy blue in the photos. We've got some light blue here as well, so they were perfect for that layout. This one here, we had some neutral tones in the clothes. There's some pink and blue in my mother-in-law's shirt here. Kayla's father-in-law-to-be has got some dark blue and even white. This is like Hawaiian print, but blue and white flowers. I knew straight away when I saw this layout that these were going to be the photos I wanted to print for that particular layout. And then this one here, these were not the photos that I was going to include. I was actually looking through my device for photos for next month's workshop kit, which is a beach and summer theme. We spent some time obviously in Mexico, Cancun, the Caribbean, and next month's kit is going to be perfect for all of those photos. So as I was scrolling through my device to look for photos for that kit, I stumbled across these photos and I just loved the, this is actually a light kind of beige, but again, the blue in the ocean, the tone of my dress here, the beach barbecue sign. You can see here we've got some colors in the napkins, my girlfriend's green in her dress, the brown in the handbag. It just worked perfectly for these photos. So don't look at a Scrapbooking Workshop kit and write it off. I will try to use photos first that I've printed, and if that doesn't work, then I turn to my device and I will scroll through my Photos app until I can find photos that are going to suit my kit, and then I print those off. Okay, I don't scrapbook in chronological order. I scrapbook what works with the papers that I'm attracted to and drawn to. Every month I will do the Scrapbooking Workshop kit, but when it comes time to assemble my album, yes, I put it into chronological order. The reason I do my scrapbooking that way is that I feel like I'm actually achieving things and getting things done. If I was to scrapbook my photos chronologically, I would be here forever, and I actually probably wouldn't find the joy in it. I love the diversity of doing different themes and different styles month to month, and getting my photos and my stories on my layout. So I hope that is some great tips for you for the scrapbooking workshop kits, and I hope that you have enjoyed this week's Technique Tuesday using the embossing folders. Apologies for those little tech errors before, and also my embossing folder is not working. I'm going to go and add a new set of those plates to my cart right now. Thanks so much for watching, ladies. Have a fantastic week. Keep cool for those of you here in Adelaide. I can't wait to see what you create. Bye for now.